Hello and welcome to today's episode of Market Talk. We're joined today by Gary Nunn, who's the Managing Director of Unox UK, and also Chris Brazier, who is the Group Event Director at Diversified Communications. Welcome to you both. Good to see you. Chris, we'll start with you. Obviously, everybody's well aware of the challenges and the issues that the hospitality sector has faced this year, but you come at it from the exhibition side, and there's been a lot of talk about the lack of support that's been given to your particular industry this year. Reflecting on what's gone on since March, how do you feel? Is it fury or frustration or a mixture of both?
I think at times a mixture of both, but I'm not sure that really gets you anywhere. So I think frustration is probably the overriding feeling, and frustration, exactly as you say, for the event industry. Especially because I think we very much feel like we can be part of the solution in terms of restarting the economy and put in, great suppliers like Gary and all the other the great suppliers out there, putting them in front of really big buyers when the time is right and when it's safe to do so. So definitely there's frustration, and I think we also kind of look at it as very, mostly very targeted, dedicated shows that we are part of that. We're part of those communities, and we miss seeing those people, and we miss being there while those relationships are forged and nurtured. So there is frustration for ourselves, but there's equally frustration for the suppliers and certainly for the operators as well. And even the people that run magazines and things like that. So, we're all in it together, and we all need to get out of it together as soon as we can.
Yeah, sure. And Gary, I'm guessing you would echo that, because I know over the years you've obviously used exhibitions and trade shows as a way to market your products and meet with customers. You haven't had that opportunity this year.
No, I think that's valid, and I think unfortunately for the whole industry, we weren't really ready for virtual. So the early stages of exhibitions being virtual, in my opinion, didn't really give anything back to the manufacturers. It was a bit of a let's stick a toe in the water. I hope that that's going to move on. We're certainly doing more and more virtual training and videos and things like that, which we've always been, promoting that side of things. But from an exhibition point of view, even with the virtual, I don't think there's any real alternative to actually, like Chris says, enjoying the day and getting there and shaking the hand, hopefully safely, of the people in the future. It becomes an event rather than just an exhibition.
Absolutely, Gary. I know that Unox has kind of expanded its online training provision this year. So what have you kind of had to put into place to get that up and running to train dealers and operators during this crazy time?
Well, again, with our guys working remotely, a lot of the distributors aren't in, so it's a case of just doing what we can. Obviously we're a global company, but certain places around we've put video studios in, and certainly the directive from Italy now is on the new premises which we're in the process of buying and building. There's got to be space left in there for a video marketing studio. So we'll be doing our own videos internal for the UK, which is quite exciting really, because it's the UK is a very, very buoyant marketplace, and it'd be great to get actually making videos, and then you can put whatever content you need to be in there, and hopefully working alongside exhibitions. We're not going to go to exhibitions anymore, but certainly on the sales and training side and marketing side, then the videos are definitely going to go forward. Live videos with live chefs cooking and things like that are going to be coming certainly in 2021 anyway.
Jolly good. Well, fingers crossed that all goes well. Just coming back to you, Chris. Gary mentioned there about virtual events and that side of things. Is that something that Diversified is looking at? How do you see the virtual events as compared to physical ones?
It's a really good question. It's a really interesting dynamic that's kind of occurred. I think firstly, certainly it's great that people are trying. It's not something in terms of the shows that I work on that we've been trying, because as Gary says, we don't think there is a substitute for face-to-face. We think that that is the most effective route to market. But I think it's really important to differentiate between trade shows virtually and content virtually. So what Gary's talking about there is, you know, using the great products and the great people that they work with to keep a connection with their customers, and that is completely valid. And I think that's something that can work really, really well online in terms of creating content and seminars and awards like you guys have been doing in you know the last week. You know, things like that can work great. I still think they work better face to face, but I think you can absolutely create something that is valid and respected online. My personal opinion is trade shows aren't there yet virtually. They're not. There's been a lot of talk. Even 14 years ago when I joined Diversified, there was talk that virtual trade shows were coming to take over. It hasn't happened because people want to be face to face. They want to see that. I think even more so in hospitality and food. So with lunch and casual dining and commercial kitchen, I don't, you know, it's sights and smells and tastes, as well as demonstrating, you know, great innovative bits of kit. And you just can't really do that online to the extent that you can do it in person. So fair play to anyone who's trying. Some of the other shows at Diversified have done brilliantly with content and webinars and things like that. But in terms of actual ways that exhibitors are meeting operators and buyers, I don't think it's there yet, and I don't think it will be there. Certainly, I'm not sure it will ever be there, and it certainly won't be there before we get back to the business of meeting face to face and enjoying doing deals with each other.
And Chris, I know you've recently announced that your food service shows, so the casual dining show, commercial kitchen, lunch, you know, you fixed a date in the calendar for September 2021. Yeah. I'm guessing you're feeling confident that, you know, you'll be in a position then to be able to run physical trade shows, you know, again, firstly, and just secondly, have you got any shows that for other industries that will be taking place before then that will give you a chance to see, you know, how things are post-COVID?
So yes, we've made the decision to put lunch and casual dining and commercial kitchen to co-locate them at Excel on the 23rd and 24th of September. We're incredibly confident, and I think partly because we feel, you know, the news of the vaccine this week starting to be administered to Margaret and William Shakespeare, and also you know, increase in testing, things like that help us increase our confidence. Other things that help us really increase our confidence, of course, are things that perhaps people outside of events might not know, but we've had to run test events, not us ourselves, but as an industry. And they have been signed off and indeed completely commended by the government. And they happened all the way back in September and have now been signed off. So depending what the regulations are at the time, I think trade show organisers, particularly when you're involving your great ops teams and things like that, they do know how to keep people safe. And of course, following all of those rules, you know, gives us confidence, and of course, hopefully gives visitors and exhibitors confidence. I would genuinely say, without being overly soppy, the main place I get my confidence from is from the visitors and the exhibitors, because we're talking to them all the time, and the support that we are getting from them is just exceptional. I think, like everyone over the past month, you know, you absolutely do have down days, and to get an email from an operator or from you know, a supplier and exhibitor that tells you how much they miss doing trade shows and how much they miss face to face and those opportunities it can bring, you know, it really, really spurs you on. And I wish we could run shows sooner than September, but it seems like the real sensible time to put those three shows together so that everyone can do business, perhaps more so than ever before, by having those three shows together. It seems like the right thing to do moving forward, and we're really excited and really confident.
Sure. Okay, that's good to hear. Gary, just to bring you back into the conversation, at the end of last year, I think it was, beginning of this year, there was a change in the sort of ownership structure at Unox UK. I just, you know, given the timing of that, slightly ahead of obviously the pandemic and the lockdown, how has that sort of worked out for you over this year?
For me, very well, obviously. It's been challenging because obviously with the non-movement of people, And a lot of the Italians, they can't get across. They've been across in between the lockdowns. We've spent most of the time, in all fairness, integrating systems, IT systems, service systems, lots and lots of training on the new systems for all our existing members of staff. And just planning, really. We had a meeting with our CEO early on who said, look, don't expect this to be over shortly. We were very fortunate in so much as being global. Obviously, as the Far East went in first, they came out first. And we had some massive multi-million-pound orders from America just at the end of December and also in June, which kept the factory really busy. So we produced all the way through. We didn't close the factory at all. So that kept our supply lines. Obviously, I'm not going to kid everybody. Yes, the business tailed off. We do supply certain sectors that stayed open, so the spare parts obviously were good. But the last few months have been very busy, to be honest, and next year's order book is huge. Really is. I mean, if you look back to this year, then I guess that's this year's business for next year. But at the end of the day, it's an interesting situation. But mainly training, recruiting new members of staff, looking for land. I've been busy looking for land to build the new head offices. New members of staff. We have 4 new people already recruited that are going to join in January. So it's all systems go January 1st for us, really. New products coming online. We brought some. We did a COVID package. We reduced the prices for all the distributors. We brought some lesser spec ovens in because we realised that people probably wouldn't have some money going out of COVID because they've not earned anything during that period, which has all been well received. And just lots of online training and like Chris said, video content and just refreshing and keeping in the minds of the distributors as we went through lockdowns. But yeah, hopefully we look like we can see some light at the end of the tunnel, and let's get ready for 2021, really.
Great stuff. I love it, Gary. You said that there's going to be a new head office. So where is that going to be based? What kind of facilities?
We've not finalised or signed on the land yet, but somewhere local to where we are. We're looking at buying a huge amount of land. The Italian owners want to build, so they want to buy the land and build, which sounds very grandiose, but then throws lots of problems my way because there's not much land to buy with building and planning application to build factories. No, I think we're quite close to somewhere which is fairly local. It's a huge site. I mean, they've got planning application for 10 units on it anyway. So we want to build. We're going to buy the whole part of the land and build we'll get the developers to build what we want. So something open to Italy. So it's something along the lines of Italy. And then we'll go from there, really, see what it brings. So 2021 is going to be busy for me, obviously dealing with that sort of thing, as well as the handing over of the sales side and continuing running on and keeping hold of the reins, really. Yeah.
Absolutely. So there's going to be a big new UK base for Unox then.
Yep.
Excellent stuff.
And I think the service side is going to be expanded as well. We've just got the Amazon Connect fitted in now, so we're 20 seconds away from answering the phone, and then it cascades back to somebody else, and then over to Italy. So we should never lose a call. But yeah, lots of exciting things planned. We've got some new ovens coming out next year. We've got a new home range of ovens the end of this year, start of next year now. So that should be good. But yeah, all interesting times, very interesting times. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the innovation pipeline from the Italian headquarters is crazy. You guys are always coming up with new ideas. So has that at all been disrupted because of COVID?
No, they've been carrying on smart working in teams. Normally the innovation team, we have 42 in-house engineers, as you know, but then they work into split teams. So we probably had teams of 10 and 15 working in groups during the down period when they had initially, when everybody was locked away at home. They were working virtually and just sharing online. But yeah, no, there's no slowing down. We brought some products forward. We're redeveloping some of the bigger ovens that we launched in September. I say we've got the home ovens, the Unox Casa coming out shortly for the home market. We have the multi-day, the hot vacuum machine, which has now arrived and we're playing with. So that will be launched probably January, February. And obviously the speed for the accelerated cooking when it launched sort of September time. We're then updating that. We've got software updates which are being done online all the time, but It's all very exciting, very, very exciting.
Yeah, good to hear, Gary. And looking at the market as it stands at the moment, obviously you guys supply into multiple sectors in the UK. Where is the most buoyancy at the moment? I know you do a lot in supermarkets and food to go and those kind of areas. Have they been holding up, relatively speaking?
Yeah, they have. A lot of the projects that we had in the pipeline have been sort of backed off this year, but they're looking like they're going to go and roll this next year anyway. Breweries, one or two of the smaller breweries are now looking. I think generally everybody really is looking for a different way of serving food, whether that's click and collect or satellite kitchens. I think there's quite a few of the high street people who will probably close the site. We were speaking with a big operator, and they'd got a local site that was doing around 30,000 a week, but they were bringing in 25,000 on click and collect and delivery. So makes no sense for them as an operator to keep that site open with all the rents and rates. So they'll just probably collate 4 or 5 sites and go to one kitchen. So I think we'll see more of that. The marketplace has brought that way. Xserve with the Averio units, obviously everybody wants that at the moment because it's an answer to a lot of those problems. And I think also, I know you had Andrew Fordyce on from IFSC. They've done a lot of work with the Averio in those big kitchens that they're looking for. Because again, serving people in a limited time with the safety restrictions we've got, it throws up all sorts of challenges. But the market, I think, is generally quite buoyant. It's just that everybody's looking for smaller equipment, less expensive, and probably it's not so technological equipment because the money's not there. And probably won't be until the back end of next year, really.
Yeah, sure. Okay. And Chris, obviously that's pleasing for you to hear, I guess, that there's activity is returning to the marketplace, and that all feeds into the shows that you arrange. So looking ahead for your plans next year, do you feel like you're going to be planning the show in a different planning the shows in different ways to what you did previously because of what's happened?
I think there will be logistical things that we all sort out, like every single business. Absolutely, and to make sure that everything is safe and everything is as close to normal as possible. In terms of actually things being massively different, I'm not completely sure, because as Gary said, manufacturers and suppliers are still innovating. They're still doing things, and operators still want to see those innovations. It's interesting. This week we sent out for the first time new products of the year from all 3 shows. So we kind of looked at it that the show hasn't been here this year, unfortunately. They're all postponed. So what can we do to help the exhibitors and the visitors? So we've simply emailed all of the exhibitors from all 3 of the shows and asked them to send across any new products that they've launched this year. So the emails are going out to all of the database completely free of charge, as a way of us saying thank you to the support that we get from the incredible exhibitors, and also from the buyers, as just a way of making sure that everyone is continuing to catch up with everyone, and making sure that everyone knows that innovation is still happening, and it's been happening this year, but hopefully next year we're going to have lots and lots of incredible innovations to show everyone at the shows, at all 3 shows. And putting them on at the same time is absolutely going to be a challenge, but it's one that I'm really, really looking forward to, especially after having no trade shows this year.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Chris, even before COVID, you guys were making some changes to, say, Commercial Kitchen. You're relocating that to Excel. So now with all the additional changes, do you feel the format or the feel of the events are going to change at all, or is it going to keep what we had before?
Well, I mean, firstly, by putting all 3 together for this year, I think for next year, we're very much hoping that is the right thing to do at the right time, when people really need to get out and celebrate hospitality as a whole, and when people that perhaps during quieter times might just find some extra business opportunities, even more than before. I do think it's really important for us that we keep the 3 shows separate to a certain extent as well. There will be separate entrances, there will be separate marketing campaigns, because those shows are very targeted, dedicated and focused on the sectors and on those communities that were involved in creating those shows alongside us. So I'm hoping there's going to be lots and lots of benefits. I'm pretty confident about that. And again, I just can't wait to get people back together and doing business, having a bit of fun, lots and lots of, incredible seminars. It's such a testament to this industry that even when the pandemic was kicking in, we had 60 speakers, all industry leaders, MDs and CEOs from the casual dining, restaurant, pub and bar chains. And, as all this was just going, sadly crazy, not one of them phoned me or emailed me to say, is the show still going ahead? Hospitality needs, will show the way, will show that it's important to be out there and be face to face. That's what their business is on a day-to-day basis. And they do it brilliantly against, such incredible restrictions from the government and things like that. And they're not giving up, and neither are we. And the suppliers and the exhibitors aren't giving up either. So bring on September and stay strong until then. That's our message.
Good stuff. I mean, do you see that if it does prove to be a success, that these co-located shows do really wow the industry? Is that something that you will continue in the future, or is that just a one-off?
I think, given the twists and turns that we've seen this year, I think it would be foolish of me to say one way or the other. But what I will say is that it definitely seems the right thing to do now. The feedback from the exhibitors, indeed the visitors, on the announcement has been incredible, to the point where actually people were replying to the press release saying, I'd like to book a stand. So, we've had new business in the past week across all three shows who now want to be part of what they see as this super event for hospitality. So that's incredibly humbling and wonderful that people are seeing that opportunity, already. So yeah, we're just going to completely focus on this and make it brilliant. To answer your question, which I'm really trying not to do, to answer your question, what we will do is what we always do, which is get this show done and continue to speak to the visitors, the buyers, and of course the exhibitors. Gary's got my mobile. I know he'll definitely tell me what he thinks.
Well, one thing you hopefully benefit from is just plenty of pent-up demand, which I think everybody is, after a year of Zoom meetings and phone calls and so on. Everyone just wants to get back and see products in the flesh and shake hands and do business, and and hopefully once the full vaccine program is rolled out, we'll all be in a position to do that, which is great.
Absolutely.
Just before we end, just a final word for you, Gary, perhaps. Obviously, there's all this Brexit talks going on at the moment. Unox, Italian company, you're here in the UK. How much of a headache is that at the moment?
No, we've not even thought about Brexit. We've been too busy sorting out COVID. No, we started probably a year and a half ago with all the numbers and classifications and things. So, again, Brexit's just one. We're sat in the UK thinking Brexit, but in the factory and in head office, they have to do all this sort of thing with countries all around the world. I mean, you can't imagine the amount of growth we've had in places like Iran. Believe me, it's very difficult to get product into Iran, but we face those challenges all around the world in different formats. So I don't think Mr. Johnson and his gang have got anything to throw at us that we've probably not seen before in a different guise. So. Yeah,
very good point. No, that's good to hear. Okay, well, we've probably just reached time. So thank you very much to both of you. Obviously, good luck going into 2021. Chris, we look forward to being back at your shows in September next year.
Look forward to having you with us. Thanks for all the support.
So thank you to you both, and we'll be back next week with another episode of Market Talk.